It's George Tyndall, and I'm back again. I'm going to discuss some important stuff here. Some people would be able to follow, some people might not. You'll probably have to look some things up in order to understand, but I'm going to go with it. Okay, now there's a thing called fluid rock interaction. Okay, there's things such as liquid nitrogen, liquid helium, geochemistry of geofluids, meteoric water, and water was likely delivered to Earth via unmelted or chondritic meteorites. Unmelted. Okay, it says this online. You can go look it up. Unmelted. Okay, so that means unmelted rocks would have hit the Earth. There's a thing is called peak rainfall, peak discharge, iridescent clouds, iridescent metals, rainbow sheen on metals. Now, anodizing is a coat with a protective oxidy layer by electrolytic process in which the metal forms the anode. Now, all this stuff, if you look all this stuff up and you calculate and you figure everything in that I'm talking about, you will understand. For a person who's an expert, they should already know. But they may not know because they didn't look for a whole meteorite. A meteor of average velocity has enough energy to cause ionization of gas. Ionized gas can glow. Gases conduct electricity. Now, if gases conduct electricity and your noctilucent clouds make the sprites, okay, that's a massive amount of electricity. Now, people think I'm stupid and dumb, but I'm going off by what you experts put out here. Now, colors in meteors originate from ionized chemical elements. Now, absolute zero is supposed to be a temperature that cannot be achieved on Earth. However, I don't believe that it isn't possible for it to be achieved in the mesosphere in space if the right conditions are present. Nuclear fusion forms a heavier element. Now, where am I going with all this stuff? Okay, there's nuclear fusion and there's confinement time. Okay, you have to look all this stuff up. Now, iron can increase the magnetic field. Okay, so if you have 250,000 meteorites, iron in the mesosphere, you're going to tell me it has no effect whatsoever on the magnetic field of Earth. And 200,000 meteorites with all that smoke has no effect and it does nothing. Well, it does. The meteor smoke, the plasma, whatever you want to call it, it does. I've looked it up. It's out there. Now, when you increase the effect, that's meteors and meteorites coming through the mesosphere, none of the meteorites and none of the meteors will be the same. They will be different. They will be different at 50,000 meteors coming through there, 100,000, 150,000, 250,000 meteors coming through the mesosphere at one time is going to increase the effect that much further. And a person should be able to understand that by turning on a burner. The more you crank up the number on the dial, the hotter the burner gets. Now, people are just now starting to experiment with the nuclear fusion and trying to make nuclear fusion reactors and stuff. And, you know, and all that stuff's fine. But it would be a lot more helpful to them if they would look for this stuff and find this stuff, because if you find something that survives a trip through the mesosphere, you can study it and study how and why it made it through and didn't disintegrate. But like I said, you know, people are going to believe what they want to believe. Now, how do I know this? How do I know this? Okay. Here we have now, whether people want to believe it or not, all of these came from space, whether you want to believe it or not. And I'm going to tell you how. It has to do with the liquid helium and liquid nitrogen that can be made from meteoric plasma. All sorts of different things can be made. The temperature can be dropped way down low. And meteors and meteorites can boil. And like I tried to explain this before. Now I will explain how it happens. But first we'll look at these things. Okay, why is this metal and why is it still in the shape of a rock? Why does it still have rock form? It has to do with how much the juice, or whatever you want to call it, on your nuclear fusion is cranked up. The more juice you get in your nuclear fusion, the more something's going to look like this. It'll look like a piece of metal in rock form. The less you get, there'll be a coating of metal on the outside, which makes a protective layer when going in the mesosphere. It burns, it turns this to metal, it causes a protective layer. And the inside, which this is metal, the inside is nuclear fused. That's why it looks the way it does, and that's why it doesn't look like metal. This one has a light crust of fusion crust on it, a light coat of fusion crust on it, or whatever. This is extremely heavy. It's magnetic. It's all black. Okay, this one. This is a solid piece of metal. Okay, it doesn't look like metal because it wasn't friction burned. Nuclear fusion will do a different thing to rocks. Now, how do you know? If you look at it, you look at all the lines. This is a rock in rock form, but it's a solid piece of metal. And why you have all these lines and all these holes in the way? It's because of the way it was cooked. Now, nuclear fusion has a lot more power than friction. And it actually has more power than probably either boiling or roasting. And I'm not sure at which point, but rocks like this, which is the green type of rock that you find on Mars. They drilled on Mars. It's green. This is a green rock. It's magnetic. Now, why does it look like this and not soft like this? It has to do with the time that it came through during the meteor shower. Now, I don't know which is which. I don't know if less or more mix one way or the other. I have to try and figure this stuff out all myself. But I'm telling people, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You could call me stupid, whatever. You can look this stuff up. Now, this is what's going to happen. When we get another meteor shower like in 1833, because with the combination of spent rocket fuel that's burned in the mesosphere, and meteor smoke plasma trails, that two combinations together, plus a lot of other things that are created, will convert the mesosphere into a nuclear fusion chamber that will achieve almost or absolute zero temperature and create liquid nitrogen and liquid helium, two of the coldest elements. This also creates a boiling or roasting effect on rocks coming in because the temperature can't climb high enough. Increasing the weight of a meteor, this also causes a meteor to slow drop or stop and drop. In easier terms, it causes a meteor to free fall. When you hit the vacuum area and other things. But I shouldn't have to be explaining this to people. They should already know this. But they don't know it because they're not looking for the rocks to be able to study this stuff. What helps verifying this is meteors crossing over the path of another meteor, which is a witness in 1833 said that they had meteors crossing over the path of another meteor. They weren't going straight like that or straight across the sky. They were crossing. If you find a meteor, you can study it and come to this conclusion because it survived the trip through the mesosphere. If something makes it through the mesosphere, you can observe it. And you can look at it and you can tell. Now, if a person wants to research this and look all this up, fine. If not, hey, the stuff's here. The stuff's here from when everybody out there gets in the trouble and they panic because of the next meteor shower that happens like that. Fortunately, mankind's going to contribute to that type of meteor shower because they're burning all that rocket fuel in the mesosphere. And it will increase the effect. But it is what it is. And you can believe. You don't have to believe. I'm just putting it out there. I'm going through and I'm actually doing the work. I'm not sitting behind a desk and I'm not saying, hey, send me a picture. I'm going to look at this. Or, oh, hey, I don't have time to talk to you. Like a lot of people out there don't have time to talk. And they don't understand. And don't look at it this way. Look at it this way. If you can create the right conditions on Earth to make liquid nitrogen, liquid helium, and nuclear fusion, and a vacuum environment, and almost absolute zero temperature, if you can do that on Earth, in space, you can do it with the right conditions. Now, for all the people out there, experts, this isn't rocket science. And if you want something like this coming through, and it makes it through the mesosphere because, hey, we're trying to populate space, a meteor, the largest one or the largest asteroid, if it comes through there and goes through that conversion, you're going to end up with something that's 2 or 3 times heavier than what it was before it came through, which is going to cause more damage, more impact. But like I said, I'm the dummy. And you know what? People can comment and say whatever you want. I have put my findings out there. If people aren't getting it, whatever happens, happens. If you all want to die, don't listen to what I'm saying. But if you don't think any of this can't happen, look everything up and research this stuff. It's only common sense. If you add more, you get more. You add more meteor smoke to the mesosphere, you're going to get more of whatever effect it causes. And I'm going to leave it at that. This isn't really technically anyone's fault. It makes me angry because people don't go back and they don't check on what other people did, what they discovered, what they found, to find out if it's actually true or not. That's why you can't find this stuff. And you can't figure it out. I'm just trying to help. That's all I'm trying to do. Yeah, but, people are going to call me stupid. They're going to call me dumb. And that's fine. But if everybody gets pulverized by a meteor shower down the road, my findings will already be out there. And who's going to be the dummy if this actually does happen? If what I'm saying actually does happen, who's going to be the dummy? And I'll leave it at that.